Good afternoon and welcome back to this latest edition of our entertainment show as we look at upcoming TV series and movies debuting here in Ireland for this upcoming month. And one of the most iconic TV series, if you remember from the 80s or the 90s, was MacGyver with Tom Selleck. And it was such had a cult a following, sort of MacGyver with Richard Dean Anderson. Apologies,
Yeah,
MacGyver with
I'm about to say that's Richard Dean Anderson, but whatever.
Richard Dean Anderson. Yeah, I got Magnum started caught in my head there for a minute. MacGyver with Richard Dean Anderson, and obviously we have a new.
That's my first time. That's my first time seeing a white dude confuse another white dude.
No matter in the world, Justin. It's a long day for us too.
For sure.
Justin, in terms of the reboot sort of version of MacGyver on Channel Sky One here in Ireland, UK, we're delighted it's gone to season 5. We're delighted to be joined by one of the stars of the show, Justin Hires, who plays the character Wilt Bozer, who played the role for over 94 episodes so far. Justin, season 5, what a roller coaster in terms of 5 seasons. Did you ever think starting off in day 1 that you would see a season 5?
No, I I didn't, and only because I had just starred on another show called Rush Hour. They did Rush Hour, the TV series, and I was the star of that, and that got canceled during the commercial break. So that got canceled very quickly. So when they said we were filming MacGyver, I was hoping for the best, but I wasn't gonna be surprised if it got canceled after the first season because I had just started on the show that had got canceled super quick.
And Justin, in terms of landing the role in MacGyver, was it a sort of simple audition sort of process where your agent showed you the script and nominated you for the role? You went into the audition process, or is there an actual sort of unique sort of story or background behind it?
It was an offer because I had just did Rush Hour, and Rush Hour was on the same network in America called CBS. And
Okay.
so after they canceled Rush Hour, basically CBS kind of asked me to come in for a meeting with the showrunner Peter Linkoff. And after we had a conversation, he basically offered me a role on the show. So that's kind of how that went. But I always tell people my audition for MacGyver was filming 13 episodes of Rush Hour. So I think CBS was like, if he could star on a show, I think he could play the best friend on MacGyver.
And in terms of MacGyver, obviously, I remember speaking to Tristan Mays, who plays Riley Davis back in season 2 a few years ago. And the sort of cast now, you managed to keep the same sort of cast around for all 5 seasons. Lucas Till, yourself, Tristan Mays, Meredith Eaton, George Eads as well. So that's very unique for a TV series. There's the same sort of cast that you start off in season 1 is probably still around to this day.
Well, George Eads, he left season 3. So everyone else you named was still on the show, but yeah, George Eads left season 3. So I mean, we kind of still have the same cast, but yeah, it was kind of cool. Just season 5, we did a scene with myself, Tristan, and Lucas, and we were like all the like original cast. So even Meredith, she came in halfway through season 1. But myself, Tristan, and Lucas been there from the very, very beginning. So that was kind of like a bittersweet moment during the season 5 because we didn't know if we were going to get another season or not. So it was kind of cool for us to have a scene where it was like just the 3 of us doing something.
And Justin, you mentioned that in terms of not knowing whether you'd have another season or not. In terms of an actor, in terms of obviously a busy actor like yourself with numerous sort of projects in the pipeline, do you sort of take it what will be in terms of each year, in terms of the seasons being over? Or do you sort of not sort of second guess it at this stage, or do you have to leave yourself open in terms of the opportunity comes around for a future season?
Yeah, well, it's not getting another season, at least not in America.
Yeah.
But so I think because season 5 is the final season for MacGyver, and I think as an actor, where I'm at now is I'm just kind of open to what's next. You know, what's the future possibilities? I have some projects in development right now that I'm working on. I have, you know, people sending me auditions for things like that. And I'm just kind of taking it at how it is. I really kind of want to focus on the things that I'm passionate about artistically, and really have some type of ownership over the next projects that I'm working on.
Mm. And Justin, in terms of your character Wilt, without sort of giving much away for our listeners and viewers, what's in store for Wilt?
I die, everyone. I'm joking. I'm joking. I'm joking. I'm listening. What's the question?
What in terms of that, a sort of a premonition that you give there? What's in store for Wilt in terms of season 5, in terms of his development?
You know, the cool thing is, you know, Mac and Bozer really kind of rekindled their friendship. Like they really get back to like, yo, we're best friends, you know. And I think that's something that the show kind of started off with, and then there was a lot of other relationships kind of going on. But I think we really kind of got back to Mac and Bozer are best friends, and they're there for each other, and what's their relationship. And then also we get to meet Bozer's family for the first time, which is a super cool episode. One of my favorite episodes that I've ever filmed on the show, and we got to work with two phenomenal guest star actors, Wendy Raquel Robinson and Ernie Hudson. A lot of people may know Ernie Hudson from Ghostbusters. He was the Black
Yeah.
Ghostbuster. so so he plays my dad. Wendy Raquel Robinson plays my mom. And so those are some two real cool moments for Bozer season 5.
And Justin, you mentioned there about the on and off sort of relationship between yourself and Angus MacGyver, played by Lucas Till. And I suppose that sort of friendship, that sort of sometimes friends can be sort of show that sort of love-hate relationship, but after through thick and thin, that you always have each other's backs. That sort of really comes down to the bones, the crunch of the relationship between Bozer and MacGyver. Is that a fair assessment?
No, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I would think so. And yeah, I mean the good thing about it is, you know, at the end of the day, you know, we love each other, we there for each other, we support each other, and to the end, you know, so that relationship never will die.
And Justin, in terms of MacGyver, this sort of version of MacGyver, you've managed to find your own sort of audience, your own sort of niche. And I suppose starting off in a series like that, I remember speaking to Tristan about it, when you're taking on probably an epic sort of TV series, a cult classic series from the genre, the 80s or 90s. You really have to sort of make your own mark and really start from scratch, because obviously people like to compare between old and sort of new. So in terms of finding your own sort of audience, that's very important for a TV show, to find its sort of its own feet and not to be relating back too much to the past or previous versions.
Yeah, we had to do that. You know, we're so fortunate to have such an amazing fan base, the MacGyver fan base for this new MacGyver, and a lot of them stem from the original fan base of the original MacGyver, and a lot of them came from they were discovering this version of MacGyver, and we had to be good. We had to be a good show, but I think what they really connected to on this show was the heart. There was a lot of heart on this show, a lot of love, and it was about family ultimately. You know, we were co-workers on the show, meaning like the characters, Bozer and everybody, but within that show, we were also a family. And I think that's something that's universal, that'll always be universal, is a family aspect. And I think that's what everyone kind of connected to universally. And because of that, it's why I feel like people gravitated towards the show, and we kind of charted our own way and made us a little different from the original MacGyver. Because the original MacGyver, I felt like, was more of a lone wolf. He kind of did a lot of things by himself. He had a couple people come in here and there to help him, but for the most part, it's like he figured out everything. And this iteration of MacGyver, it was really a team effort and a family effort that I think a lot of people kind of connected to.
You mentioned that as well, and what's interesting about this version of MacGyver is in terms of the other sort of cast members aside from Lucas, their sort of backstories and developing their sort of characters as well. So it probably is not really centered. Obviously, MacGyver is the main character, but it goes off in sort of different variants between each episode to sort of give you the whole sort of, dare I say, the whole surroundings in terms of MacGyver, what's happening with those sort of people's lives as well, which is a unique sort of twist, but probably makes this version of MacGyver stand on its own 2 feet.
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree.
And Justin, in terms of MacGyver for you, I suppose there has been ups and downs in terms of not knowing whether it will come back or not. But to be involved with a project for season 5, obviously you've been a number of years associated with the one sort of show. Do you almost feel a sort of an affection towards it, like it's a treasured sort of tie? As sort of such, when you go to work every day, that you know there's an audience or a fan base that have been following you from day one, season 1, that you feel that I have to put in that extra bit of graft or work to sort of appease them or applause or to keep that sort of high standards, so that fan base that has been rewarded you throughout the years still feels the sort of gratitude or feels the love from the cast?
Yeah, I think you never want to get lazy in your acting. I think you want to make sure the writing is never lazy, so all of us, from the writers to the actors to the crew, we always make sure to give our best to make sure that we're delivering a great TV series, because we know without the fans we have nothing. We wouldn't have made it to 5 seasons without a fan base. So we always try to make. So I always remind myself of that too. Sometimes you have to wake up 5 o'clock in the morning to be on set, or 4:30 in the morning to be on set. But you don't ever want that to show on screen. You want to make sure you're present. You want to make sure that you're doing your best, so that when people are watching the show, they're enjoying the show. So they'll continue to watch and support it. And I think the writers and everyone do that. And then also, we also try to make sure that we elevate everything. So from, if the script is the scripts are always good, but there's always a way to improve it. An improv line may say something funny, do a cool reaction shot. And also as an actor, just finding those little moments, and we'll work the scene to see what can we say, what can we do, what action can we come up with to amplify and elevate this moment in this scene to make the show better.
And I suppose that Justin, a sort of penultimate sort of question for you now, in terms of, I remember mentioning this to Tristan, but just in terms of getting your own sort of version of it. Obviously, for Lucas, phenomenal sort of actor, but in season 1, maybe season 2, people were wondering how is he going to take on such an iconic sort of character, an iconic role, being played by the one and only Richard Dean Anderson. We all know Richard Dean Anderson. We know him for 2 roles probably in his lifetime, predominant sort of TV series. We know him for playing MacGyver, and we know him for being Jack O'Neill in Stargate. There's sort of 2 sort of prominent roles. So for Angus to sort of take on that sort of character as sort of MacGyver, did he find it sort of challenging, first of all, in the first in season 1 or 2, to make his own interpretation? And do you feel maybe after season 1 or season 2, when he was accepted in that sort of role, that he sort of grew into it and reveled and make this sort of new version of MacGyver that we see today that's so successful?
I think Lucas is naturally MacGyver. Like, when I say that, I mean, like, he really knows how to do that stuff that MacGyver does. Like, he's really like a brainiac, seriously. So I think he didn't have to grow into it. I think the audience may have had to grow into accepting him, if there was any type of hesitation between growing up with Richard Dean Anderson and now seeing this younger version of MacGyver. But Lucas just did MacGyver from day one, because he's naturally Mr. Fix It type of smart guy. That's really him. Like that. Like that's really Lucas. Lucas and MacGyver are like joined hand in hand. So no, I don't think he had to grow into anything. I think, like I said, I think that was more of the audience maybe had to do that. But I think Lucas was kind of good to go from the beginning.
And Justin, finally, we might turn it over to your character, Bozer, Wilt. Wilt Bozer for the last 30 seconds, and he might enlighten all our audience here in Ireland why they should tune in for the season 5 premiere of MacGyver on Channel Sky 1 and what may be in store for them. Over to you, Wilt.
I mean, you know, it's a lot of action, it's a lot of drama, it's a lot of comedy. You get to see if Mac and Riley hook up, you know, if they actually become a couple or something. And yeah, it's a lot of heart. So, and like I said, it's all about family. So, you know, let our family come into your household and be a part of your family.
On that note, Justin Hires, a pleasure talking to you today as we look ahead in joyful anticipation for the season 5 premiere of MacGyver on Channel Sky 1. And do recall, it's not Tom Selleck, as I said in the open 30 seconds. It's Richard Dean Anderson. It is not Magnum PI. It's definitely 100% MacGyver. And Justin Hires plays a prominent role of Wilt Bozer. Over 94 episodes, going strong. We look in joyful anticipation for the season 5 premiere of MacGyver. Justin Hires, an absolute pleasure talking to you today, sir.
Same here. Thank you very much. Wishing nothing but continued success. Shout out to Ireland. Can't wait to visit.